morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place, place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place, place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, and welcome to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television. It is Tuesday, the 29th day of April 2025, the day after the general elections. But guess what? This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. I am Adana Kumbi, and we're coming to you live from the Port Mall here in Scarborough, Tobago. Can you imagine? It is over. It is over. General elections 2025 in Trinidad and Tobago concluded last evening, and the results came in. And so we have, the electorate has selected a new Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. While we are waiting the official results, we do have some updates for you, as you might be aware. Let's talk about the Tobago instance. So far, it seems as if it has been declared both East and West seats declared for the Tobago People's Party. That is what it's seeming like. Of course, we have to wait for EBC to actually sending the official results. But based on the counts last night and the results that were coming into media houses, we're seeing 27 seats for the UNC, 12 seats for the People's National Movement, and the 2 Tobago seats for the TPP. Those are the results that we have: 27, 12, and 2. And so, of course, we're going to continue bringing you coverage. We're going to continue bringing you updates as they come in, just to see what is happening in the land space, the scope here in Trinidad and Tobago, as we hand over the reins have been handed over for new administration for governance in Trinidad and Tobago. So we're going to see how that is going to go. And of course, Tobago Updates Television will be bringing you all the updates as soon as they are made available. So we're going to continue having those conversations. But before we get into those conversations, we head on over to the news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Adana. Here is your news in 90 seconds for Tuesday, April 29, 2025. Prime Minister-elect Kamala Persad-Bissessar, in her victory speech at UNC headquarters last night, pledged to begin fulfilling campaign promises, emphasizing that people, not elites or financiers, decided the nation's future. She thanked voters, candidates, and staff, calling them the true heroes of the campaign. Persad-Bissessar dedicated the win to senior citizens, public servants, children, and job seekers, promising to reopen Petrotrin and the Children's Hospital, restore laptops for students, and create over 50,000 jobs. While the PNM conceded with 12 seats, preliminary results showed the UNC with 27 and the TPP with 2. Up next, supporters of the Tobago People's Party gathered by the thousands at the Scarborough Esplanade to celebrate the party's sweeping victory of the board candidates in the Tobago East and West. The party political leader, Farley Augustine, expressed deep gratitude to God, campaign managers, and voters for their support. Augustine celebrated Tobago's stance against years of neglect from Port of Spain and hailed the election win as a powerful mandate. He acknowledged voters' concerns on the campaign trail and also highlighted lower voter turnout and promised introspection with necessary changes. Augustine thanked outgoing leaders, especially former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, and congratulated Prime Minister-elect Kamala Persad-Bissessar. And finally, former Prime Minister and the PNM political leader Dr. Keith Rowley conceded defeat in the 2025 general election, calling it not a good night for the party. The PNM is expected to hold 12 seats, while the UNC will form the next government. Outgoing Prime Minister Stuart Young expressed no regrets and vowed continued commitment to the nation. However, in Tobago, PNM Tobago Council leader Ansel Dennis confirmed the loss of both seats to the Tobago People's Party and thanked outgoing MPs and supporters. Dennis pledged that the PNM will regroup and prepare for the next election. And that was your news in 90 seconds.
90 seconds. Yes. Election. It is over. Biana, and you are correct, in terms of the news there, especially in the Tobago instance. You'll be hearing us talking a lot about what has happened here on the island of Tobago.
Yes.
And, of course, the thousands came out. The Sea of Blue was in Scarborough last night to celebrate their victory. Last night there, I didn't get to listen to all of the speech last night, but I did see the numbers, and even before the results were called, you could kind of, the atmosphere, even the headquarters that are based right here on the Port Mall, the supporters, they were here last night, and they were expressing, how much they're looking forward to the results, how confident they feel, and stuff like that. But before we get into all of that aspect of it, I want to talk about the other political parties who we've been trying to have conversations with yesterday.
Yes.
And you might be aware, and for the purpose of our viewers who were not on last night, we tried to make contact with, of course, all of them: PDP, the Patriotic
and
Front, IDA, PNM. We were at all the camps last night, trying to get conversations, to get the spirit, the atmosphere, to see what is happening there.
Yes.
And the situation last night at the PDP, there were a few supporters there, before the results came out, like around 5:30. They were around there. They were happy. They were, just waiting to see what was happening, even up until 6:30.
Yes.
And as it started to get closer to 7 p.m., you saw the crowd kind of, well, not really a crowd, there were like about 10 persons there, 10, 12, I will say about 15 persons, and the crowd started to dwindle. And of course, we could not get that conversation. So this morning, Mr. Watson Solomon Duke has promised that there will be a press conference coming out from the PDP camp this morning. So we were waiting to see what he will say. It's always interesting to see what Mr. Duke has to say in any regard, on any situation, on any matter. So that, we're waiting to see what has happened there. But for a guy who's been in the race, he's been around for some time, of course, seeing what the results are coming in and looking like, I suppose he thought to himself, it's best I talk to them tomorrow, because you really don't know. At the stage it was, there was literally not really a chance to kind of come in the race, as it were, and to contribute in that type of way. But of course, when you enter a race, somebody got to win, somebody got to come second, and if you have more than two people, then somebody had to come third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and as it were.
But as you mentioned, Mr. Duke would be talking today, as he said to you that he will do a press conference today to talk. I'm wondering if it is that the other smaller parties, which would have been the IDA, the Patriotic Front, if even serve the UTP as well, if they would come forward and say something, because last night we were expecting to hear from at least, either of the camps, but nothing wasn't forthcoming. Yes,
and I do hope, give them a chance to, not give them, but a chance to speak. They should be able to speak up now, because, the chance was given. We went to the camps to get the information. So really, it would be interesting to hear what their contributions will be in terms of the outcome of the general election and their hat in the race, to see, how they felt, what it was like there in terms of the anticipation, the waiting. And, let's get to the TPP now. A new party, in terms of the first time they enter in the general elections. In fact, most of the parties who entered is the first time they've been entering the general elections race. And to have that overwhelming victory, particularly in the East. We know for certain the victory in the East was a significant victory there from the results, the preliminary results that came in, and of course, on the campaign trail, you were hearing so many different things coming in from the PNM and also from the TPP, both parties kind of defending their position in terms of, yes, we got this, and now this type of result. I know it's interesting to hear what the population has to say about how the voting went yesterday. What are your thoughts on how the outcome. I mean, as I said before, somebody must win and somebody must come in second place. But in terms of the overall results, in terms of the victory, the number, the difference in the electorates voting with a PNM or TPP, what are your thoughts on that?
Right. So based on my conversations with colleagues and stuff, for the TPP in the East, they probably would give way to the fact that it was an outright clean sweep. But I see some messages coming in to me stating that, do you think that they would ask for a recount in the West? That's Miss Shamfa Kojo-Lewis and against Mr. Notsi Joel Sampson. They wanted to know if they think that the PNM will ask for a recount in that constituency.
Well, if you go based on how close the numbers are, that's why I went to the East first. If you come down to the West now, and if you look at how close the numbers are in terms of is a margin, and usually, quite frankly, they do sort of ask for a recount in that regard. They do ask for a recount in that regard, to ensure that they actually won. Because I mean it's a close call. It's a close call, and it's a fight for governance. And you want to retain the seat. So of course the call will come in for the. I expect them to ask for a recount because on the last count I think it was like less than 20 or something like that.
Yes.
I can't remember exactly what the figures were. So I expect that a recount they will call for a recount in the West.
And also my friends were messaging pertaining to the voter turnout. It was a bit low because probably at the time when I went to vote, you're expecting to see the numbers up there, but at a time like after 12 yesterday, my number was 98. So, you're wondering, as if it is that persons really didn't want to vote, or if it is that the voting was because of the new persons that, had the ability to now go out and vote.
And that's the thing, you had, based on the information coming in from the EBC, you had at least 20,000 more qualified electors to go out and vote, and you didn't see that transposing into the actual poll day yesterday. You didn't see that coming on. I don't know the exact amount for the Tobago instance, but the overall was at least 20,000 more viable persons to vote, and that we didn't see that at all yesterday. It would be very interesting to see the total number of persons who voted yesterday, because the voter turnout, and you are right, because even yesterday, while going out, nothing was happening. It was so quiet. It was just so, you're going to polling stations. There were a few where, like the bigger polling stations, you might have seen some numbers, but not as you would have seen before. And on the ground, you were hearing people saying they're not voting because of whatever. Because there are some people who will not shift their allegiance. They will not shift their allegiance. They rather not vote. And that, I suspect that might have happened yesterday in that instance. Akinlabi, welcome to the conversation this morning, man. So, tell us, what do you think, what do you feel about how yesterday rolled out and the overall results, and what do you think we're going to do moving forward from here?
Well, just to converse on the matter of the voter turnout, from the numbers I was counting at the EBC, the West Office of the presiding officer yesterday, of the returning officer, sorry, yesterday, there seemed to be just a little below 50% voter turnout. I suspect by the time they finish count the ballots, it would be closer to 50% of turnout. And generally, that's a fair turnout of electors, because I think in the past, usually, it's about 40-something% of the electorate will really come out and vote in Tobago. In terms of the results, I would be honest, I did not see that result coming. I thought it would have been much, much closer than that. It didn't turn out that way, but we have to have faith in our democratic system and hope that the powers that be that are now taking up the administration, they do what is best for Trinidad and Tobago.
Talking about the voter turnout, Akinlabi, in terms of the percentage, yesterday Biana and I were talking, and we were saying we were projected at 70%. We were really, because the election this year, of course, Yeah, not just that, because of how many persons,
Who added to be voted.
and the
Yes.
significance of this election,
Yes.
you know, especially in the Tobago instance.
Yes.
You kind of was looking for people to come out, whether they were angry, disappointed, frustrated. Yesterday was the time for them to come out.
Yes.
And so you were really looking forward to people coming out and ensuring that they put in their votes. But, you know, 50%, well, it is what it is. We can't go back in time. But the important thing moving forward is that people have to realize that they do have a voice.
Yeah.
You know, long time people used to say one does full basket.
Yes.
And so we need to go back to that to remember that yes, your vote counts.
Yes.
Staying away, it doesn't
help.
contribute
It
to
doesn't
it.
help, yes.
Yeah, it doesn't help, you know, whether for whichever party, for whatever
Yes.
situation. I'm not campaigning for anybody here. The votes are already in. But you have to go out there and you know, exercise a democratic right.
You know, Adana, there's another interesting aspect I think we should touch on, is that usually in politics, when you see so many persons, so many political entities coming up against the incumbent, it usually means that the opposition votes are split. And it's an easier victory for the incumbent. But in this case, we didn't see that happen at all.
No.
It actually went the opposite direction, even though we had so many political parties and
the
so many
western
independents in the mix.
Yeah.
So that would be something very interesting for those political scientists to dissect and analyze and, you know, come up with some sort of theory as to why things happened in the way they happened.
And you know, I cannot be not a political scientist by any means at all, but when you listen to the word on the ground, right? When you listen to what people have been saying, you can kind of piece together why the votes went the way they went, especially in the Trinidad instance. You can you understand based on what the supporters of the PNM were saying. And I listened to a clip last night, and I want, you know, people to listen to it. And the thing about governance is you have to listen to the people on the ground.
Yes.
You have to listen to the people on the ground, and you really can't take anything for granted, because I'm telling you could have the biggest motorcade on the planet, right? 60,000 people could have come out in one color, and that color still would not have won, might not have won. You know, so you really have to stay to your grassroots people. You really have to ensure that a wide cross section of the population is attended to. And if you think of some of the things that might have caused the votes to go the way they went, I could think of a few.
Yes,
Especially coming down to the end, some of the decisions that were made coming down to the end, I believe, is what caused the PNM to be in this position now. If I can say it, the decision to accept a salary of that state at that point in time.
I think that was a big factor.
You see, that was the straw that brought the camel's back, I feel, for the general public. And you're hearing people saying these things. So,
and the pensioners as well.
Yeah, there are so many issues that people feel as if were unresolved, not just unresolved, but were neglected. You understand? And so I feel that is probably what caused the votes to go the way they went. But as Akilabi said, we're going to leave it to the political scientists and analysts to come up with whatever they have to come up with. And we're going to see how it goes from there. And we're going to continue the talks here on Tobago Updates Television, so stay tuned to us for the entire week as we continue talking about all things elections here in Trinidad and Tobago. Right now,
while we're
Tobago
talking
Updates
elections, it's back to school today.
Back to school? Back to school today, yeah, boy.
Yes.
Wow, the kids are back off to school today. So parents, I hope you have everything ready and set and you didn't jump up too much last night. Make the children late for school this morning.
And the laying of Leanne Joe.
Yeah, we will. Yes, definitely. That is happening today as well.
Yes.
All right, Bianna, thank you so much for being on set with us this morning and going through that conversation. And we do hope to see you again tomorrow. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
You too.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the morning where we celebrate with those who are celebrating. It's time for our birthday shout-outs. And of course, we start off the birthday celebrations this morning. Tobago Updates Television, we take pride in celebrating birthdays with all of our viewers. And this morning, this beautiful smile is coming from Miss Vida Coffee. Miss Vida Coffee is celebrating a birthday today. A special, special birthday is going out to you this morning. We say happy, happy, happy birthday to you from all of us here at Tobago Updates Television and the Tobago Updates Television family. We say happy birthday to you.
We say a happy birthday to Miss Nicola Alexander. Happy birthday, Miss Alexander. We wish you God's richest blessings. We know today is a special day. We don't know where your support was yesterday, so today might be a very good day, or today might be a somebody, but still give God thanks and praise for life. He has blessed you, has kept you, and He has seen you through another year. Now is a time for you to reflect and really ponder upon your life and the blessings that God has given to you. And I know you'll spend it with family and friends, and they'll make it as special as they possibly can. Happy birthday to you, Miss Alexander.
And finally, Miss Atia Combi. Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. And in case the surname sounds familiar, yes, this is my niece, and she's celebrating her 11th birthday today. And this is her actual size. This is what she looks like in real time. Atia is 11 years old today. And Atia, we say happy, happy birthday to you. Coming to you from mommy, daddy, granny, papi, auntie, uncle, cousins, everybody. We want to say happy birthday to you. We love you very much. We pray God's blessings upon your life, and we do hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day today. On the weekend, we had a little celebration for you, and Atia had so much fun, and we hope the fun continues today as well. So happy birthday to you, my sweet, sweet child. God bless you. Bless you. Auntie loves you. Plenty, plenty, plenty. So happy birthday to you as well. And of course, if you are celebrating a birthday and we do not have your photo, we still join in the celebration with you. We want you to remember to put God first, because He is the reason why there's even anything to celebrate. And of course, while we celebrate life today, we'll be laying to rest Leandro Panis-Nore. We are celebrating his life and his legacy this morning, at 10 a.m. at the Shore Park Complex. He will be laid to rest today as all the loved ones go out, and we want to go out and give support to his loved ones, his family and his friends. Let us come together and give him a really, really good send-off. We spoke about Leandro on this show. We know that Leandro is a member of the media. It was a member of the media industry, a friend to many, and we've heard all the tributes that came. This is the day that we lay him to rest at 10 a.m. at the Shore Park Complex. So all are invited to come out and to pay their respects to a humble soul who was a friend to many, many, many. All right, this morning, who are we having conversations this morning? Well, Akilabi and I are here on set this morning, and we will be going through conversations with you this morning as we continue to talk about general election, and we continue to talk about things happening right here on the island of Tobago, things that affect me, that affect you, and generations to come. We want you to be a part of the conversation, so remember to log on to our Facebook pages at Tobago Updates Television and our YouTube channel as well. And for those of you who are viewing on AMPLIA 102, or Flow 121 or 130, we welcome you this morning, and we say thank you so much for making us your number one choice. As we go for a short break, we invite all of you to help us share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back. TNTech is pleased to advise that its Roxborough Service Center has reopened. Starting Monday, 10th March, customers can once more visit the Roxborough Administrative Building to pay TNTech bills, request new connections, and more. TNTech, powering the nation into the next generation.
I went and tell everybody in my neighborhood I got a scholarship. I am going away. and then the coach got fired. We're diving deep into sports scholarships, Thanos' secret sauce, and what it takes to transition from the local scene to an international playing field.
You have to log your hours. I was turned down 4 times.
We like to apply a little bit of pressure.
Kobe, Michael Jordan,
LeBron James.
moving right along. Took a wise man to take a chance on me.
Let's get into the playbook.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
Coconut's Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off. Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by quality standards. Tobago Glass Supply specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With AMPLIA TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with AMPLIA's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 gigabyte fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With AMPLIA, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. AMPLIA. Do more, live more.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49SWIFT 4979438.
So guys, there are some new developments in housing in Tobago. So it's goat racing time. This is 116, the show that keeps you in the know with all things Tobago House of Assembly. Each week, 116 delivers a fun and engaging overview of the latest developments, achievements, activities, and events of our dynamic assembly. So join me. Let's dive into the Tobago House of Assembly's Week in Review right here on 116.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us this morning. When you see the three of us up here on screen together, you know we have to discuss things that are happening right here in our local spaces. And before we came back on air, we were talking about, the things that we observed over this general election campaign leading up to the results last night. And we want to continue that conversation. Of course, we want to make you a part of the conversation as well. So feel free to put in your comments on our Facebook and YouTube live streams. We will see if we can open the phone lines later on in the program. I'm not sure yet. We will speak with the production team to see if that is possible, because we really do want to hear your opinion. We want to hear your inputs in what has happened last night, what transpired. What do you feel? What are you feeling this morning, Tobago? How are you feeling? We want to be a part. We want you to be a part of the conversation as well. So, let's get back into the talks about general elections. The results came in 27 UNC, 12 PNM, and the 2 Tobago seats going to the TPP. However, Akilabi, we were talking earlier and we were saying that the possibility exists that there might be a recount for the West seat, the Tobago West seat, because the results are a little bit close there. You know, I can't remember the exact results. I hope they will send it to us shortly so that we could kind of dissect it. But we were talking about the last THA election where there was the back then it was the PDP and the PNM, and we saw how close the results were. And the recount, it came back now that the PNM actually won the seat there. So it will be interesting if a recount is called. I haven't heard any call for a recount yet, but the possibility exists because of how close the numbers are. You know, that there might be a recount. And Akilabi, what are you thinking in terms of, do you think that definitely there will be a recount, or are you thinking, what are you thinking of feeling where that is concerned?
Well, if I was in Ms. Kojo Lewis's camp, Mrs. Kojo Lewis's camp, I would have called for a recount because the figures are very close, and sometimes we know sometimes there's errors in human error in counting. Just to make sure, because I think given the results in Trinidad, the People's National Movement will need as many seats in the parliament as possible. So I think a recount for the Tobago West seat is the most logical step for the PNM to take.
They definitely need to, you know, well, we'll see. We haven't heard any official requests being coming in yet for a recount, but we suspect that that might happen. I want to go up in the east a little bit. You know, I mentioned it before in our earlier banter in terms of the landslide victory there. Tobago is a very, very unique place, a very unique space. The people here are very unique, different from a lot of people. And, you know, you would hear a lot of things on the ground. And I know a lot of people, in as much as you're hearing differing views. You're hearing some people are saying they expected the TPP to win. You're hearing some people saying they expected the PNM to win. And you're also hearing some people saying they expected the TPP to win, but not by so much. You know, so there's that kind of mixed reviews coming in there where that is concerned. Word on the ground, I haven't had much interaction with the eastern side of Tobago, but I have been hearing the talks. You know, they expected the TPP to win, but not by so much. What have you been hearing? And what have you heard since after the results came in?
Well, for me, I didn't really interact with people in the East on the ground that much, but I did have some persons within the party of the People's National Movement, and in their canvassing during the campaigning, they realized that they were in trouble in the East. You know, they said that we're going to face some stiff competition. I don't know if they expected a loss or if they expected a tough fight, but they realized that the road wouldn't be as smooth in the East as they anticipated it to be. And I think that they were ready for a fight in the East. But this kind of loss, I don't know if anybody anticipated.
But let me just throw this out there, right? And as I said, none of us here are political analysts or political scientists. But you know what you just said there, Akinlabi, based on the camp and they're doing the assessments and they knew that they would have to fight. Do you think that they really fought for that seat in the East? The PNM this is. Do you really feel that they put in the effort, the fight for up there?
I can't say. I don't know how the conversation was.
That one is ticklish.
Yeah, that one's very ticklish. I don't know how much effort they put in the East. I know personally, Miss Webster Roy, I know that she's a person that she's a fighter. She would put her best foot forward. She was on the ground doing that.
Yeah, a lot of work, yeah.
So, and as Bianca is saying, she was on the ground. So I would think that the PNM would have tried their best in the East to as much as they possibly can to convince persons. But you know, the thing about the East is that when they turn their mind in the East,
when they make their mind up, they make their mind up.
When they turn their mind in the East, it kind of hard to change it. Yeah, it hard to change.
And you know, last night while we were, you know, in studio and we were all, you know, located in different locations, we were all on assignment in different locations. And when we were talking at the end, I think close to the conclusion when the results were coming in, I can't remember. One of our members were talking about the fact that in the recent past, there hasn't been a political party to have 3 consecutive terms. It's usually 2 terms and then you see a change. And I was trying to do the maths last night when I went home. You know, I was really trying to calculate to see if there was any term that was served for more than 3, any political party that served for more than 3 terms. And I couldn't recall any. I know in the early when we started off with Dr. Eric Williams, and I'm trying to count how long, you know, consecutively. So those are things you kind of also want to factor in as well. And I don't know if anybody paid attention to that going into this election, to see, well, okay, let's change the strategy. Let us see if we could retain, I'm talking about the PNM now. Let us see if we could retain this space and retain the seats, especially, and you see those 2 Tobago seats are very important. And the marginal seats as well, that they lost in Trinidad to the UNC. I
think one of the problems, if I have to do some sort of analysis, I think one of the problems the PNM probably had is that they weren't connected to the ground as much as they should have been to get a real feedback from the ground as to what the attitude is like towards the party. I thought they probably thought that because there were so many political parties in the mix, the opposition votes will be split and it will be easier for them to get into office.
Again,
But that just did not happen. And in any other election, that may have happened because it happened in 2007 with the COP.
Right.
The COP had split the votes of the UNC and the PNM walk into office. And they probably thought that would have happened again, but...
And I think last week it was when we were having interviews. I can't remember. I think it was Mr. Hislop. We were talking and I was saying, is it that, sometimes you get into a space and you start to feel comfortable, so you start to get a little complacent. I'm not saying this is the case, but is it a possibility that might have also impacted the approach? Because Akilabi, you're talking about going on the ground and listening to the people on the ground. And you see, especially for election campaigns, that's the time that you'll see them on the ground. When the election bell ring, they're busy like ants all over. And they're in every community, every street, talking to each person. But have they been doing that on a consistent basis? Have they been visible in their constituencies right throughout the campaigning? And I think that is a challenge for all political parties. In fact, I know that they have to get on with the business of the country to run the country, so they can't be on the ground every single day. But you have to have feet on the ground and you have to have ears as well. Here, I'm bringing in reports to you so you can address the situations that people have found themselves in. There are lots of people are talking. Here are some of the issues I have heard: unemployment, underemployment,
visibility was one.
In terms of for homes for low-income earners, those are some of the things that people were trying to, the gaps that needed to be filled that were unattended to, So those are some of the things that people were kind of attending to, wanted to be attended to. So, I don't know.
I think generally the PNM, they just missed the mark in terms of what were the real concerns and issues of persons. And I think that they underestimated the amount of discomfort and dissatisfaction the general public had with the economic situation in the country.
And why we're talking about the fact that, we're focusing on the PNM in terms of listening to the people on the ground is because they were in the office at the time. You can't really say, well, the TPP or the UNC or the whomever should have been listening to people as well, because, they didn't hold the office at the point in time.
Right.
They listened to the perspective to campaign and to bring the promises and to develop their manifesto. You understand? That's what they were listening for. But the PNM at the point in time was supposed to listen to bring resolve and to bring solutions to ensure that people feel confident. And, I think people feel slighted when you come the week before, the week, leading up to do the what we call handout. You saw social media last week.
Yes.
You saw social media last week. They were angry because there were food vouchers. Some people were saying, take the food vouchers. Some were saying it's a slap in the face. And some were saying all different types of things. But, do you really pay attention to what is happening?
So one of the challenges that the incumbent parties have all the time is that they are unable to balance between the executive duties and the MP duties. And I think that's something that all political parties moving forward, they need to work out some sort of system to balance it, because as you said before, Dana, persons are always complaining that they're not seeing the area representative. And I spoke to somebody from Bethel who lives very close to Mrs. Kojo, where Mrs. Kojo Lewis grew up. And they said they haven't seen them in the longest while, and if they don't see them, they're not going to vote for them. So there's always this need to balance between my executive duties as a minister and my duties as a member of parliament to my constituents. And it's a very, very difficult balance, but that's where your team's supposed to come in.
Exactly, bridging that gap there and ensuring you keep that connection with your community. Sorry, Biana.
No, I was saying it's a matter of bridging the gap, and as Akinlabi was saying, it's a matter of how you balance it.
That's right, that's right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue conversations in studio this morning as we go through the outcome of the general elections in Trinidad and Tobago. By no means are we political analysts or scientists, but we're going based on the word on the ground, what we've been hearing, what we've been observing and assessing in our own rights. And we do hope that you could continue the conversations with us. Remember, you can leave your comments on our Facebook and YouTube live streams. And also when we come back from the break, guess what? The phone lines will be open, so you can call in. You can call in and air your views as well as it relates to the outcome of general elections 2025. But in the meantime, we're going to go for a short break, and as we go, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live.
Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Courts is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Courts Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more. Courts Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
When you would have brought home gold, the entire country would have been at a standstill, reveling in this victory. Let's put 60 seconds on the clock, ladies and gents.
The first thing most Trinidadians think about is me pelting coconut.
Still? You think you could handle the pressure?
Ready. People call me Andrew, you're a miracle, Andrew, you're a champion. I say, hold on, why not you?
Ladies and gents, welcome to the playbook.
Like a rest. Don't worry about that.
Pressure is a privilege.
Can't bring too many at a share no point. Where's the tiebreaker?
There's some things that you would learn that can't be taught in a class.
Correct. Stop telling them don't run. Like, what do you mean don't run?
Easy. All sports.
All right, we gotta make this short and real sweet.
Ready, set,
It goes a little something
go.
like
We break down the moves needed to win on and off the field.
My compa is the best.
Legendary
comp.
All right, I feel
Curry good too.
A good beginning makes a brilliant ending.
this has been the playbook, and class is dismissed.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television. Remember, viewers, our phone lines are open, so you can call in on 284-6597, 284-6597. You can call in, of course, and have conversations this morning. We want to hear your views as it relates to the outcome of general election 2025. Not just the outcome, but the leading up to, your experience, your expectations, as it were. And we continue the conversations here in studio this morning. And we were talking a little bit about the construct of governance here in Trinidad and Tobago. And just last week, again, we were speaking with Mr. Lawrence Hislop, and he was going through what the Parliament actually looks like in terms of the actual administration and the opposition, how that happens and how that works out. And he was talking about the day that the opposition is given to speak. And if the opposition is a minority opposition, or let's say there's a multiple opposition, as we have now, we're seeing the PNM having 12 and the TPP having 2. The day that is given to the opposition, will the PNM, in this instance, because this is what we have now, will they allow the TPP any part of the day or the hour or the minute that they have to present in the House? And this is what we have to consider now. How is that going to roll out, and how are the benefits going to be derived for Tobago? Because at the end of the day, we are speaking from the Tobago aspect of things, and we want to ensure that we have the representation in the Parliament to ensure that our issues are aired and addressed and attended to.
But remember, Adana, the TPP has been saying that they will negotiate with the UNC to bring about the autonomy bill and to improve Tobago's autonomy. So I guess even though maybe the PNM, let's just suppose that the PNM decides to hold the private members' day for themselves, for their agenda, perhaps the TPP could do some behind-the-scenes negotiations with the UNC to get their agenda forwarded. But I know that the TPP will still have talking time in the Parliament because they cannot completely ignore them. But what Mr. Hislop was saying is that sometimes when you have multiple opposition parties,
it's difficult.
The smaller opposition party will have to negotiate with the larger one to get some talking time, because most times the larger opposition party will hug the private members' day, because he was saying that the private members' day is only one day out of the month for the opposition to raise any issues. And if it's just one day, then the PNM may want to keep it for their own agenda. Sometimes they may have to share it every other month. The TPP may get a chance to
say something.
But this is a perfect opportunity to show your love for country, right? So if you are the minority and you have that day, and you really love Tobago, and you really want, you could start your campaigning from today, from the time the bell ring and say, well, you get sworn in as your thing. The campaigning can start for your next election immediately. If you allow the space for the TPP to speak in the way that they really want to represent Tobago, it shows your love for country as well. And some of the things we tend to forget coming into an election is what I want right now. I want my party to win because I want my party to win. But are you really doing this for love of country? Because if you're doing it for love of country, you'll be thinking beyond the seat that I now hold. You also hold a measure of power. Yes. And that power will transcend to the people who you have pledged to serve. Yes. Because remember, everybody on the campaign trail was talking about, because Tobago, we have been making noise. Tobago, the voices of Tobago rose up, and we say we want certain things, autonomy being the major thing. And we've been talking about it. And so the campaign has mentioned Tobago. We will do this for Tobago, and we will have this, and we will put this on the order sheet, and we will ensure that Tobago is part of the discussion. This is the opportunity. Whether it is the UNC, whether it is the government, whether it is the minority, this is your opportunity to let Tobago speak and for the voices to be heard in the House. Yes. So let's see how the minority is going, the opposition rather, is going to manage their day of speaking. Let us see what the strategy is going to be, because no, you can't be, as you said, Akila, be hugging all the time, and the TPP is just sitting there, the two representatives just sitting there, not being able to speak, not being able to bring Tobago matters, and you are saying that you love Tobago. Both the PNM and the UNC love Tobago. So let's see how it will be really, really interesting to see how that will play out in the Parliament.
And then again, it's all about strategy, how you operate with your strategy to have speaking time.
Yeah, and I suspect that on the private members, the opposition would want to have a unified strategy in the issues they're raising. And I don't think that the TPP and the PNM sees eye to eye on it.
Oh, you don't have to think, it's obvious.
anything.
It's very, very obvious. There's nothing to guess or to think.
They don't
It's
see eye to eye on many things. They have philosophical differences that is so wide that I don't know if they would even want to employ the same strategies. So it may have to be a case where January I talk, February you talk, and so forth.
And this is going to be so disjointed, because if that is the approach, Akinlabi, and then again that will have to come from, I don't know what the policy is where that is concerned, or if that will have to come from the opposition, and they will determine, we talk in January, you talk February. We talk, they could decide we talk in January, February, March, you could talk in April, and we talk in June, July, August, you could talk in September. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how that is going to roll out, and I'm hoping that, for the love of country, you know, politics ain't easy, and it's not for the light-hearted.
Someone was saying it's a game, and you have to know how to play that game. You have to know how to play the game, and I think it's that that video I saw last night. Yes. A reporter was in the PNM camp, and there was a senior citizen there, and she was talking about her commitment to the PNM over the years, and the fact that her disappointment. Her disappointment in the way things rolled out this year. Not this year, this period, in this time that brought PNM to this, because the results weren't called yet, but she was saying, you know, it doesn't look good for the PNM because of the way things are happening, and things are happening that way because of how people were feeling at the point in time. They weren't feeling included. Remember, viewers, our phone lines are open, 284-6597. You can call in and be a part of the conversation this morning. You can also post your comments on our Facebook and YouTube live streams at Tobago Updates Television. You know, so governance, you know.
I wanted to talk about the Tobago West seat. Remember, earlier we had spoken about the possibility of a recount, and I just have some initial numbers here. These are not the official numbers, but these are preliminary numbers on how the votes went in the Tobago West constituency. So we have Joel Sampson from the TPP, and he gathered 6,835 votes based on our numbers here. And Ms. Shamfa Kajol-Lewis, she gathered 6,523 votes. So that's a difference of 312 votes. Mr. Sampson would have won by 312 votes. And given that number, Adana and Biana, I don't think there will be a recount.
I thought it was a little closer than that. The last count I saw before I wrapped up last night, it was a little bit closer. And I guess those other results came in from different polling stations later on.
Because the special voters came in last.
Right, okay, cool. So those were counted after. And I was thinking about that as well. Well, if the difference is that the margin is so wide, I think perhaps they might not call for a recount. If it was closer, like about between 20, even 50, even 100, they might have said, let's do this again. But
I want to ask a question, right? You know, on the campaign trail for the TPP, they will, every time they come to speak, whether it be Mr. Sampson or Mr. Thomas, they kept saying that, you know, when we go down to the parliament, these are the issues and this is what they want to deal with. What you think, or I don't know, it's just throwing it out there, what you think would be key priority for the two candidates as they go to the parliament to represent Tobago?
Well, the primary thing they've been talking about mostly is the autonomy. That's this thing that TPP went into this election with. That was their campaign, autonomy for Tobago. And so I suppose that is what they will be presenting there. What we were mentioning before, will they get the opportunity to effectively deliver that conversation, to bring it back on the table? And as you rightfully said, Akinlabi, to get that measure of representation for the island. I feel that is what they're going in. That's the primary thing. I haven't really heard.
One other issue that they may raise is the issue of the share of the hydrocarbon resources. That's the next thing that they raised on the campaign trail. They wanted Tobago to have a greater share of the hydrocarbon resources that come out of, quote-unquote, Tobago's waters. So that those two things may be the priority on their list of things to represent, to advocate for in the parliament.
And what about the budgetary allocations? I just, throwing it out there, I'm not sure.
Well, I guess once they have the increase in the hydrocarbon share, that should address the issue of the budgetary allocations.
Oh, yes, as well as the items under the autonomy bill as well. They would create that provision for the increase as well. So we'll see how it goes, ladies and gentlemen. We will continue talks about elections here for the rest of the week as the results keep coming in and, topics keep coming in. We're going to keep you updated as much as we can, and we hope that you can be a part of the conversation as well. We really like to hear from you. We want to hear your voices, and your input is very, very important to us. We like to know what's happening on the ground. If nobody else wants to know, we at Tobago Updates Television, we want to know what is happening on the ground with our viewers. So we do hope that you could continue to stay viewing with us. Remember, today we lay to rest Leandro Panis Nori, 10 a.m. at the Shore Park Complex. All are invited to come out. Let us show support for the family and loved ones of Leandro. Let us show support as well for his colleagues in the industry as well. I know that your life might have been impacted by him, so let us give him love today. As we send home a beautiful soul to rest. That's 10 a.m. at the Shore Park Complex. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is where we end the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, but it's not where we end our programming. We head on over to GMT. So as we go, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
To mainly focus on diseases of cocoa. Black pod and witch's broom are currently in Trinidad and Tobago, and we're going to give some sensitization about frosty pod, which is a disease that's in the region that could have devastating impacts to the cocoa industry. The reason why these are so problematic, they affect the economic part. It doesn't necessarily kill the tree, but it makes the farmers feel less productive.
Today, the focus is on identifying the diseases of cocoa towards rehabilitation and restoration of the cocoa. So, as you know, we have one of the finest cocoa in Trinidad and Tobago, and we don't want to lose that genetic stock, and therefore this particular training today is for that.
I believe it's important to renew your information and to be up to date with what is taking place. And we learned that the frosty pod disease is just in our neighboring Venezuela, so we have to be on the lookout for that particular disease and to know what to do in the event that it gets here.
So this workshop or training will help facilitate, refreshing the knowledge that officers have and putting things in place so we can get these cocoa seeds back up and running, back up at production, optimal production at that.
reach really is looking at conserving biodiversity and taking on agroecological practices to now look at the agricultural landscape and see how we could better the landscape using that. So the bi-reach is really for the landscape, the productive landscapes of Trinidad and Tobago.
I think it's a good idea that the different agencies come on board with the division and with the ministry by extension, because the ministry cannot do it all alone, so these agencies will help bring information to us extension officers and our wider farmers in Tobago.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly. Celebrating anniversaries is important to fostering connections and acknowledging growth and shared experiences, as well as setting a foundation for future goals and aspirations. Around the region, they are known as the leading disaster management agency. Here in Tobago, we call them TIMA, and they recently celebrated their 27th anniversary. One activity was a health and wellness day.
We are accustomed doing stuff like this with every institution that require our service. Here today, we are here to assist with the staff of TIMA in ensuring that they maintain their health and the importance of health, importance of knowing your numbers in terms of your blood pressure, your sugar, your weight, your BMI, to make sure it is in line with your height and your weight. The importance of checking your blood pressure is to ensure that you don't end up with stuff like a diagnosis with like heart attack or stroke. Also, that could also help us to send you also to the health center to do blood testing for stuff like your cholesterol and other blood work, so that we could determine if you are newly diagnosed or if you have been seen about your health. So we have the blood pressure testing, we have the sugar testing, we have the dietitians here who would do your weight, your BMI, and tell you how much body fat there is. We also have dental here to take care of the mouth, which is also important because of the bacteria and stuff that can cause different diseases to your organs and stuff like that.
TIMA workers share their love, experiences, and appreciation for their job.
Today for the staff, we are having a health and wellness program to commemorate our 27th year anniversary here at TIMA.
I am the GIS specialist at TIMA, so that's a Geographic Information System person. We deal with mapping as well as evacuation routes, evacuation maps, data elevation models, risk assessments, etc. I'm also attached to the planning department, so we do a lot of analysis as well as gap analysis as well as reports. So we basically are the brains somewhat of the organization. For me, my time here during this period would have been very great for me. Would have been able to respond to the oil spill as well as Tropical Storm Karen as well as other emergencies. This would have given you a lot of knowledge as well as wisdom in terms of how natural disasters actually operate, because reading about it is one thing, but actually being able to assist persons as well as to respond to it is something different. So it comes like you learn the theory and then you have to do the practical aspect of it. Life here is really great. It's a family environment. Yes, we may have our disagreements, but it's a high pressure environment, but we always have the ability to bounce back from or whatever would have impacted us, and that shows a lot of resilience within the organization. So cheers to 27 years.
TIMA's mission is to coordinate a network of agencies and individuals within the island of Tobago to direct their efforts to maximize preservation of life and the protection of the property in times of disaster. That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
It's a brand new morning, rise up, new dawning, as the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor, so wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun, we are beaches, we are rivers, we are melanated ones.
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region. With the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine, I am Candice Jackson, and let's get started with the news in 90 seconds. Prime Minister-elect Kamala Persad-Bissessar, in her victory speech at UNC headquarters last night, pledged to begin fulfilling campaign promises, emphasizing that the people, not the elites or financiers, decided the nation's future. She thanked voters, candidates, and staff, calling them the true heroes of the campaign. Persad-Bissessar dedicated the win to senior citizens, public servants, children, and job seekers, promising to reopen Petratrin and the Children's Hospital, restore laptops for students, and create over 50,000 jobs. Meanwhile, the PNM conceded with 12 seats. Preliminary results show the UNC with 27 and the TPP with 2. Meanwhile, supporters of the Tobago People's Party gathered by their hundreds at the Scarborough Esplanade to celebrate the party's sweeping victory of both candidates in Tobago East and West constituency. Chief Secretary and TPP political leader Fali Augustine expressed deep gratitude to God, campaign managers, and voters for their support. Augustine celebrated Tobago's stand against years of neglect from Port of Spain and hailed the election as a powerful win and a powerful mandate. He acknowledged voter concerns on the campaign trail and also highlighted lower voter turnout and promised introspection with necessary changes. Augustine thanked outgoing leaders, especially former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, and congratulated Prime Minister-elect Kamala Persad-Bissessar. And finally, former Prime Minister and PNM political leader Dr. Keith Rowley conceded defeat in the 2025 general election, calling it not a good night for the party. The PNM is expected to hold 12 seats, while the UNC will form the next government. Outgoing Prime Minister Stuart Young expressed no regrets and vowed continued commitment to the nation. However, in Tobago, PNM Tobago Council leader Ansel Dennis confirmed the loss of both seats to the Tobago People's Party and thanked ongoing MPs and supporters. Dennis pledged that the PNM will regroup and prepare for the next election. And that was your news in 90 seconds. And viewers, well, as you know by now, we are heading into a different 5 years under the leadership of Kamala Persad-Bissessar. And in Tobago, while we know for certain that the TPP has the Tobago East seat, and we know also that there is a little bit of a dispute about who won the Tobago West seat, as the numbers were very, very close for PNM's Shamfa Kajoa Lewis as well and TPP's Joel Sampson. Although from the TPP camp, from the PNM, it seems as though the Mr. Joel Sampson won. However, we know that there's going to be, because the scores are so close, there's going to be a recount. But regardless, it means that it's going to be a different way going forward. And there's a lot of questions as to what's going to happen now. For instance, in Tobago, are we still going to go ahead with the Sandals deal? Will the people from the management of Sandals continue our conversations with Tobago? How will the autonomy quest, what will happen to that? We heard Fali Augustine, the Chief Secretary and TPP political leader, last night stating that they are now about to go into negotiations. How will that look? it's all going to be very interesting. But before we get into anything else, I just want to show you a bit, for those of you who were not able to see us yet, the victory speech given by Prime Minister our new Prime Minister, Prime Minister for the second time, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar. So in case you haven't heard what was said on election night, I know it was a long night, and I know that not everybody was able to stay up and see it, but she is now here, we have our speech all lined up for you. So we go to that now.
When God says yes, nobody can say no. I want to thank our coalition partners joined with us for us to secure this victory. So can we give them a round of applause? United Coalition of Interests. And of course, I thank all of you, rank and file members of the UNC, who have stood with me through thick and thin, through light and through darkness. You have carried me on a journey that was filled with love, with determination and resilience. I started off this campaign by saying, you will be the real heroes in this story. And I end this campaign saying the same, you are the real heroes in this story of Trinidad and Tobago. All of you, I cannot single out one or two or three. There have been so many thousands of you working in your zones, working in your sections. Today was really a great display of cooperation and of hard work, where everyone stood in their zone and worked. Whether the seat was Superior, whether the seat was St. Joseph, whether it was Tunapuna, whichever seat it was, we had teams and teams of activists and people working every single seat. And so they did so well. All of you, thank you for showing up. Thank you for staying on the course and believing in our great party. Thank you, TNT. I say thank you for your support during this campaign. Thank you for your confidence for a better TNT. And for letting the world know that we, the people, have the real power in Trinidad and Tobago. We the people, you are the people, you are the government. Not the fake elites, not the financiers with all their money, but the real people of Tobago who have toiled and kept faith that you deserve better. This victory is for the senior citizens to keep their pensions. This victory is for public servants to get their rightful salary increases. This victory is to reopen the Children's Hospital. This victory is to reopen Petrotrin. This victory is to once again give laptops to our children. This victory is to create over 50,000 jobs. And so, the victory is yours. Now that the UNC has won, everybody wins. We have fought a clean campaign. We have fought a campaign based on policies, plans, and programs. After years we spent listening to you and taking note of your wants, your needs, your hopes, and your desires. It is now that the real work starts. From day one, we'll be focused on delivering on our promises, working to make every citizen's life better, brighter, more prosperous. I give you the assurance tonight that no one will be left behind. No one will be left behind. Because when UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Tobago wins. Everybody
and
wins.
there you have it, just the words of Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar giving her victory speech last night and giving us a sense of what we can expect from her government going forward. And I expect during the course of the day we might find out a little bit more as to when there would be the swearing in, the official swearing in of Mrs. Persad-Bissessar, as well as the Attorney General of National Security, and then subsequently we would have the swearing in of the cabinet. Now, it's like I said, it's very, very interesting times, and we know that from the TPP side, they are ready to go down to Trinidad and start to negotiate. And of course, high on the agenda is that of greater autonomy for Tobago, that question that's been around since 1977. They said throughout the whole campaign that with seats that are not aligned to any political party, they can now advocate the same way that Mr. A.N.R. Robinson and Dr. Winston Murray did when they won the 2 seats for the DAC back in the 1970s, and they were able to go to Parliament in 1977 and advocate for that. And that's how we now have the Tobago House of Assembly. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But, you know, when you look even at how the results came in from Trinidad and you saw, I mean, it's quite telling, you know, especially with the coalition of interests and having the unions on board with the UNC this time in a very, very strong way. And I think perhaps stronger than they were on board with the UNC than in previous elections. And you see, even down to Point Fortin, which was traditionally a PNM stronghold, went over to the UNC. And I mean, again, it seems as though only the concentrated areas in Trinidad around Port of Spain, the East-West Corridor, and was it San Fernando, East or West? I can't remember right now. For Mr. Brian Manning, those are the only those major populated areas went to the PNM, but the rest of the 27 seats came from all over Trinidad. So it is quite interesting, and it does send a message, and especially it has been a cry over the past few years about the state of the economy. A lot of people simply not being able to go to the grocery to purchase a good basket of groceries for their families. These are some of the issues that were caused that caused the election to turn out the way it did. And you know, just for if you want to join in the conversation this morning, the phone lines are open. And the number is on the screen. I'll bring it up in just a bit. But yeah, you can join, right? The phone lines are there, open. It's 284-6597, 284-6597. And you know, just it's like I said, it's very, very interesting when you look at that map and you see how the votes came in. And like I said, we're still awaiting the final results for the Tobago West constituency. Now, it appears that Joel Sampson is in the lead and has won that seat. But it could also, there is a possible dispute, and it would not be by much. It would be a very, very slim. It might come down to just a few votes for it to go either way. And we look forward to see what happens during the course of the day. Of course, the EBC would release the final numbers pretty soon. Maybe not by the end of today, but going forward. And certainly they would let us know what's going on, if there's going to be a recount. I think it's safe to assume at this point, just because of how close those votes were, that there would be a recount. But just so you know that you could join in the conversation, 284-6597. But I think we have lined up as well. I was able to get a few minutes with Mr. David Thomas last night as they were doing their celebrations at the Scarborough Esplanade. Now we're going to have to wait on that for a little bit, but we have a caller online. Good morning and welcome to you, caller. Good morning, caller. And just a reminder, viewers, if you are calling in, please listen to the phone and not to your television sets. So once you're on the line, just mute your television sets and listen on your phone. So because there's a delay. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Candace. Good morning. Another unprecedented election result here in Tobago. Wow, wow, wow. What can we say? Again, we saw a situation where the People's National Movement were very confident going into this election with their two candidates from Tobago East and Tobago West. We heard a number of things being said on each side, We heard them even criticizing the two candidates in Mr. David Thomas and his capability and his ability, but Tobago East really came out and showed themselves yesterday. And I know that was not the result that a lot of persons were looking for. But on the other hand, a lot of persons were anticipating such a success when we look at the type of numbers that we saw in that motorcade that happened on Sunday. It was indeed an indication that something had shifted on the island. And, from my own personal perspective, I was not necessarily looking at the people in the motorcade, because people like to jump and wave and dance and drink their alcohol and have a good time. But what really sent a message, I believe, is when you look at the amount of people who came out in the villages to wave their flag as that motorcade passed. And that was a key indication that the constituencies and the villages truly were supported and backing this new blue wave. So, even from me, I want to say congratulations to the TPP, the Tobago People's Party, on victory. I mean, we're still looking to see what is happening in Tobago West, so we don't want to call that one too soon. But again, we see a situation where we can't say that competence would have won, because a situation where somebody who is experienced in the parliament, like Shampa Kujo Lewis, going up against a newbie like Joel Notsi Sampson, persons who are saying that Shampa has all the capabilities and she has all the experience. But we saw a situation where, the man came up from behind and had the heart of the people, whether he read a speech or not. Right, and so that was really interesting to look at.
I'm gonna have to cut you there because we have another call on the line. So thank you for your call. But good morning and welcome to the other caller. Good morning and welcome. Good morning. Okay, so it seems that other caller, we lost another caller. But in the meantime, I think we have that interview with Mr. David Thomas from last night as he entered the Scarborough Esplanade to celebrate the win with the supporters of the TPP. So here you go now.
Congratulations on your win. Tell me, how are you feeling tonight?
I feel great. I'm humbled by this experience, and I look forward to serving Tobago with excellence. Yeah.
So now that you've won, what do you want to say to the people of Tobago? Now that you've won, what do you want to say to the people of Tobago?
I want to say to all the people of Tobago, tonight Tobago are the winners. You people of Tobago, you are the winners. And I will serve you, and we will make Tobago the greatest little island on the planet.
All right, now that you won, what is the first thing you're going to do?
I am going to make sure that I follow the guidance of my party, because my party would have had their plan and they would now be trusting me to execute that plan. Right? So that is what I'm going from now on, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so there you have it. Just a few words there from David Thomas. But before we speak a little bit about that, we have another caller on the line. So good morning and welcome to you, caller.
Good morning. You hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear.
Good morning. Good morning there. Very well, I must say a very great day for Tobago. Finally, we are trying to get this monkey off our back in Tobago here, that I think that has kept us in this state of dependency and bondage for a very, very long time. So the young people are waking up to realize that Tobago can be a lot more than what it presently is. And we have to stop this dependency and begging Trinidad, and because we need industries, we need good jobs, we need population to grow, among many, many other factors. Let me say that this election was easy for many people. I said two things. The Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister, is a liability to the people, and I don't even know. Since the 14-1, he was a liability. He made some speeches at the National Secondary School that turned off people. and make Tobago look so inferior. And I said before, he was a liability, and he has proven it again because of what he did in the airport area, how he treated the residents down there in terms of how they dealt with their lands and so on. The neighborhood were buried in that area there, and how they were treated. Two, on the opening of the same airport, the disrespect to Tobago. I mean, people really felt very hurt in Tobago, throughout Tobago, with the high level of disrespect that was meted out. And what is more ironic is that the members of parliament sat there, nobody defended and said, listen, what the Prime Minister did was wrong. Nobody called him out. Nobody noticed the senator here, Mr. Hislop. Nobody said anything that showed that the people of Tobago were hurt over that matter, and they continue to just press on. Thirdly, the representative, now the people in Tobago elected their island government here overwhelmingly, almost 15-0. And so the two representatives were supposed to be a bridge between pressing forward the issues concerning Tobago from the THA level and so on. But you know what they did? They had a PNM agenda and was only coming down and disrespecting the THA, underfunding the THA, doing everything to frustrate and undermine the THA from all angles. And this worked against them. It is clear the issues in the elections were very easy. Once the Tobagonians looked at the issues in the election, it was very easy. And if time had gone on more, they should have been even more overwhelming in Tobago. Their disrespect and that undermining of the THA and coming down on the THA and pressuring them and doing what they did worked against them. So I hope that they really learn from this situation. But hats off to Mr. Farley Augustine, that bright young leader. We have a new Robinson in that has reborn, and we are very, very grateful, and we hope that this self-government issue will be something that will be achieved very early so that Tobago can really move forward with growth and development. Thank you very much.
All right, and thank you so much for your call. And viewers, like you heard from David Thomas, now the way forward would be dependent on what the TPP decides. Of course, we still have that matter to settle for certain whether or not the Tobago West constituency did go to the TPP. So I'm pretty sure during the course of the day that at least there will be something said from the official standpoint, which is of course the ABC, as to what's going to be happening there. It's safe to assume, like I said, that there will be a recount. But however, going forward, David Thomas will be going to Parliament, and when he goes there, it will be in line with what the TPP has decided. Their strategy will be for entering the Parliament. And we're going to get into some of that in a bit. But before we get into that, and before we hear some more of what Chief Secretary Farley Augustine said last night as to the road forward, we got to go for a break. But we'll be right back. And then, of course, we'll be continue taking our calls after we hear from the Chief Secretary. So don't go anywhere.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawn.
is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49SWIFT 4979438.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
So guys, there are some new developments in housing in Tobago. So it's goat racing time. This is 116, the show that keeps you in the know with all things Tobago House of Assembly. Each week, 116 delivers a fun and engaging overview of the latest developments, achievements, activities, and events of our dynamic assembly. So join me. Let's dive into the Tobago House of Assembly's Week in Review right here on 116.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise.
All right, welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. And viewers, yes, by now you are waking up to hearing the election results. So far, what we've been able to ascertain is that, we have only about 27 votes, 27 seats that went to the UNC, giving them the leadership of the country over the next 5 years under Kamala Persad-Bissessar. And we know in Tobago, we have the Tobago East seat, going to Mr. David Thomas. And in the Tobago West, initially, it seems as though it went to Mr. Joel Sampson of the TPP as well. However, those votes came in very close. So as we were actually watching the votes coming in last night, it kept going up and down between the PNM Shamfa Kajo and the TPP's Joel Sampson. It is very, very close. Now, we don't have the final figures just yet, especially for the Tobago West seat. We are still waiting the update from the EBC. And it's safe to assume that, a recount is necessary. And of course, we don't know for certain. It's not over until the last vote is counted. And it's also the importance of the fact that every vote counts, right? So I think now we have a little clipping of the concession speech from former Prime Minister and PNM political leader Dr. Keith Rowley. He conceded the defeat just after 10 last night, as it became clear that the PNM is going to be walking away at just under 12, just about 12 seats. So here we go.
You all ready? Yeah.
Okay, very good night to you, ladies and gentlemen. I am here at Balizé House with my colleagues, Chairman of the party, Stuart Young, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. I have on my left Deputy Political Leader, Ranson Onan, who was the campaign manager. And I have here the Mayor of Port of Spain, Alderman Chinua Alin. Tonight is not a good night for the PNM. but it might be a good night for Trinidad and Tobago. From all reports, we have conducted an election. Things have gone very well with the processes. The results are coming in now. And from what we have coming into Balizé House, it is clear at this time that we have lost the election. So this press conference is what we do. We've done it before, conceding defeat on election night, but tomorrow is a new day. We've had to concede on the night of December 1986, we conceded in 1995, and we conceded in 2010. So this 70-year-old party, sometimes you win, sometimes you don't win. Tonight is one of those nights where, surprisingly, we have not done very well in the general election. But as we know how to do it, from tomorrow, the PNM will begin to prepare itself for the next call within the next 60 months. We wish all the winners well, because our country is now in their hands. From the reports that we have in our hand, it appears as though if the trends hold, the PNM will end up with an opposition in the order of 10 or 12 seats. But we've come back from 1 seat, we've come back from 3 seats, so 10 or 12 seats don't count us out. We will continue to remain faithful to our cause, which is to the interest and the service of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The elections are over, changes will be made, promises to be kept, reviews to be done, rejuvenation to be had. One thing we're happy about is that the PNM will move expeditiously towards its new status as the opposition. The General Council will meet on Wednesday and will direct the elected members of the House as to who should be supported for the position of opposition leader. That is the position that we have held before, and even from there, we provide yeoman service to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I, as political leader, Prime Minister of recent vintage, but I still remain political leader. I did at an earlier time say to you, the media, that I've met with the general leadership of the party and indicate to them that I would not want to continue beyond the end of this year as political leader, and would, at their advice, vacate the post as soon as they would like me to, so as to facilitate the requisite convention. We will do that and will conduct our party business with dispatch, with honor, and with gusto in the coming weeks and months. So tonight, I simply want to say that we have kept the faith, we've run the course, and we still have some more running to do. If you have any questions to any of the three of us, we will take a few questions now, and we will go off to our new status.
Oh, welcome back again. Yes, those were the words of former Prime Minister and PNM political leader, Dr. Keith Rowley, as he conceded their defeat of the PNM last night just after 10 p.m. So, just interesting times ahead. He said that it's not the first time the PNM has suffered a defeat, and they will regroup. How will that regroup happen? Or what will be the outcome of that regroup? It's going to be very interesting going forward. But of course, we know that going ahead, former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley stated that he is not going to continue being the leader because he is stepping back. So this was supposed to basically be his last act in politics, and then make a way for someone new to step into those shoes. And the PNM has been a party that has always remained strong no matter what, even through defeat. So they have always come back. So, it's not it for, if you're a PNM supporter, that's not the end for the PNM. We know that they will continue to be around, continue to be an important part of the fabric of Trinidad and Tobago. But of course, that's just how elections go sometimes. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And we're going to hear now, I think we have I don't know, we don't have Mr. Augustine yet ready. So we're waiting to make sure that that clipping from Mr. Augustine is ready to know a little bit more about what are the intentions going ahead. Now, of course, one thing that Mr. Augustine said last night is that the time for negotiation has begun. So we're going to be looking forward to see how that negotiation unfolds. How will the TPP seats align themselves or not align themselves with the UNC? We know the UNC currently holds 27 seats, and you know, it was said a few times last night that now the special majority needed to pass something such as change in the Constitution to grant Tobago greater autonomy is held by the UNC together with the Tobago seats. So it's going to be interesting going forward as to whether or not the cries of Tobago, the desires of Tobago, are reflected in this new government as they seek to form themselves. It's going to be also interesting to see, you know, what decision that Mr. Thomas and the TPP makes along with Mr. Sampson, if he is ultimately declared the winner of the Tobago West seat, to see how they fit into this. Now, we know from the campaign, TPP many times that they don't want to be part of any cabinet. They want to be able to be that voice for Tobago. So we look forward to see how that works. I mean, it really is going to be interesting times going ahead. We are waiting the results. I said, I mean, everybody is declaring at this point in time that it went to Mr. Joel Sampson. However, we don't know for certain. We're still waiting just a little updates from the EWC as to what really, how is it turning out. But we know whether or not it ultimately goes to the PNM or the TPP, it's not going to be by much. It's just going to be by a few votes. That is also goes back into saying that, you know, every vote counts. So we're going to go to the victory speech of Mr. Fali Augustine of the TPP, who's a political leader and also Chief Secretary.
Asking for all members of the party. Right, testing. TPP family. Let us hear it for the incoming member of parliament for Tobago East. Let us hear it for the incoming member of parliament for Tobago West, Joel Marcus Sampson. Please. I ask that the rhythm section in the back give me 5 minutes, and then we'll allow you to party on until the statutory time of midnight. So give me 5 minutes, we get through this quickly, and then you can party until midnight, where we absolutely have to cut off based on law. Alright? Tobago family, I want to start by expressing gratitude. Because we could not do this without so many of you across the entire island and your contributions. I wish to start by expressing gratitude to the Most High God. Yes! Yes! And I want to tell you why. Because I know that some people trust in chariots, some people trust in horses. Today we learned that some people trust in swords. But we will remember the name of the Lord. And as the scripture says, they were brought down, but we are risen and we stand upright tonight. I also want to express gratitude to the party's overall campaign manager, who was our deputy political leader, Mrs. Natisha Charles Pante. I want to express gratitude to our individual campaign managers. We have in the east, Mr. Dale Hercules. In the west, we had Ms. Zorisha Hackett. We had Sertica Williams Orr. Sanisha, Miss Sanisha Ali. Let's hear from Miss Sanisha Ali. Tonight's victory is an important one for Tobago. And it's important for several reasons. Number one, when over the last 4 years, we sat quietly and accepted the abuse from Port of Spain, Tobago, you went out today and you exacted revenge on our behalf. And you said, do not disrespect the Tobago House of Assembly and disrespect to the women. We made a call for 60,000 strong to stand up, and you stood up strong today. Voted with vengeance today, and we thank you for that. This is also a reminder to our opponents that Tobagonians are in fact intelligent beings, and we should not be reduced to crowds or animals, because we are capable of making informed and right decisions, such as the one we made tonight with Mr. David Thomas in the east and Joel Sampson in the west. This decision is also important because clearly PNM did not learn anything from their December 2021 campaign, and they continue with the same strategy. And it shows that if your campaign remains Farley will ensure you are beaten at the polls every single time. This victory is also important because as we look around the national space, at this point it looks as if the ratio is 27 seats to the UNC, 12 to the PNM, and 2 to the Tobago People's Party. With Tobago's 2, if these unofficial results pan out, with Tobago's 2, it means that we will have a 2/3 majority at a national parliament. And while that 2/3 majority is not quite the level of majority we will want for some constitutional changes, this is sufficient to be able to expand Act 40 of 1996 and to be able to accord to the people of Tobago some greater privileges within this democracy. At the start of this campaign, I told you we are hoping to repeat 1976, where we sent 2 people to the parliament to be the minority of the minority, where our focus was not so much on being in a cabinet, but our focus was being in the parliament to be able to advocate and to say the right things and to negotiate on behalf of the people of Tobago. And I believe that we have an extremely strong negotiating point starting tomorrow morning. I also want to say to Mr. Dennis, who earlier tonight conceded defeat, that We thank you for conceding this feat, but I also want to say to the PLM, we thank you for keeping a loser as your political leader in Tobago. And please keep it until the next election. We also want to make it clear that your work is not finished tonight. Because Mr. Thomas and Mr. Sampson will need your support. They will need you behind them every step of the way so that they can continue to push on behalf of the people of Tobago. More than that, as I begin to analyze the voter turnout, we can see that in this election, there appears to be a lower voter turnout than the last general election. I want to say, as the head of the government of this island, that I take that to mean that some reflection, some introspection is required, and certainly some changes are required. Many of you here, as I walked and canvassed, I heard you, some of you express disappointment while saying, I'm voting for you, but I'm not happy about this or about that. And this is a government that listens. This is a chief secretary that listens. And certainly changes will come to the Tobago House of Assembly to reflect the things that you have said you want to see from your island government.
All right, and there you have it, just a bit of the victory speech last night from Chief Secretary and political leader of the TPP. And just before we ended that clip, we saw there that Augustine was making an interesting point where he was alluded to the fact that as he was out in the campaign trail, he was getting a sense that all was not right, despite the fact that TPP did pull off a win in this election. You know, things are not all smooth out there on the ground. And he realized that there is some work to be done. So it's going to be interesting to see also how the TPP goes ahead, because again, we're not done with elections, folks. We've got a THA elections coming up in just a bit. So, you know, by the end of the year, we'll be in another campaign for the THA elections. So, I mean, it's going to, I'm going to want to see how Augustine and the TPP, and especially THA, actually goes ahead in fixing some of the issues that are popping up, and you know, perhaps quelling some of the discontent that's being expressed there on the ground. So, all right, viewers. Well, I mean, it was a pleasure being on with you this morning, and I want you guys to stay tuned. So, because Tobago Updates will be bringing to you the funeral service of Leandro Nore, who is, of course, a very, very dear colleague and friend of the media. And, of course, I mean, he was very close to people like myself, having worked for many, many years together. So we're going to be saying goodbye to him in just an hour or so. Such a huge loss for Tobago. But, of course, you know, we've got to send him off with love and, you know, just in the best way that we can. So if you are interested and you're not able to attend the funeral, that's going to be happening at 10 o'clock at the Shore Park Complex. You can stay tuned to Tobago Updates, and we will be bringing to you that in just under an hour. All right, viewers, I want to thank you for being on with us. And certainly, I want to say thank you to the staff of Tobago Updates, and I hope you paid attention to our coverage last night. We went all out, we worked hard, we were out late, and we came back again this morning, and we're going to keep going. So, you know, thank you to everybody that was involved in bringing the program together and making sure this morning still happens, even though we're all really tired and, you know, a little bit exhausted, but hey, it's a media and this is how it works, and we just got to keep going. So thank you for joining us, and we thank you for all the support that you've been giving us, and we will continue to be here. So bye for now.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning as the passion starts. start a